morning to all of you. As it is 11th of May 2021, Class 11th, Subject Economics. Our today's topic is representation of data through histogram. Previously, we learned how to represent data through tabulation, through charts, through bars, and today a new concept is here: how to represent data, both grouped and ungrouped data, through histogram. First, let us try to define what histogram means. Histogram is defined as a pictorial representation of a grouped frequency distribution. Here the word frequency distribution is must. Whenever we are going to construct a data through histogram, it should be grouped frequency distribution. So frequency, occurrence of frequency is must, but they must be in a grouped manner and by means of adjacent rectangles. By means of adjacent, here adjacent rectangles, whenever we are going to represent, suppose 0 to 1, then we have to represent 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. We have to link 3 with 4 and so on. In this way we can represent data through histogram. Here class intervals are plotted along x-axis and corresponding figures, frequencies, are presented along y-axis. Here we are having example of a book stall. Books were sold in a book stall which are shown in order of their most popularity. Means some books were of high range, they were most sold, they were sold at the highest level. Then there were the medium ranged books, their price was whatsoever price may be, but their popularity was not as much as that of the first range. And simultaneously there were books of inferior quality also. They were grouped according to their choice. So these choices are represented here. Suppose $1 book, $8, $5, $2, $3, $5, $6. These have been represented here. Here, for instance, when we show $3, it means $3 books were sold 2 times. So their frequency will become 2 and so on. We have to represent one thing, that how many times a book has been sold. We have to represent that by means of frequency. Okay, here we have form grouped class interval whose lower limit and whose lower limit should not be less than 5 and upper limit should not be more than 25 or 20. Okay, here is a class interval of these. Suppose $1 to 5, $6 to 10, $11 to 15. We have represented this. $1 to 5 was sold 6 times and $6 to 10 was sold 8 times. $11 to 15 books were sold 10 times. $16 to 20 were sold 3 times. $21 to 25 were sold 4 times. So we can imagine easily that the most popular books were having price of $11 to 15 because they were sold 10 times. We have represented these numbers like 6, 8, 10, 3 and 4 by means of histogram. As per definition, we know that along x-axis we represent the group class interval, along y-axis we represent the number of times books were sold. So highest number of times the books were sold by 10, but 10 falls in the range of, in the class interval of 11 to 15. 11 to 15 will itself represent that this is the highest level, highest bar. So this highest bar represents that these books were most popular and they were sold as per their numbers. So here in group of 1 to 5, no book was sold. In 1 to 5, 6 books were sold. And in class interval of 6 to 10, 8 books were sold. In class interval of 11 to 15, 10 books were sold. In class interval of 16 to 20, 3 books were sold. And in class interval of 21 to 25, only 4 books were sold. These have been represented by means of this diagram. So we can say that by through histogram representation, we have to form the class interval, and then we have to link them with their frequencies. Frequency will, number of times the book have been sold will determine its frequency, and that frequency will make us the bar chart, and that very diagram will be called a histogram. And this much is enough for today.